we're all gonna die. Not right now or anything. Sorry, don't panic. Just in general, death is inevitable. And so it's worth thinking about, not in a sentimental way or a saccharine or depressing way, just in kind of a honest way. And so, while Death's Door deserves all the praise in the world for being an excellent action RPG and one of the best games of the year, it's also one of the best games about death that I've ever played. It's a game full of cute, quirky, zany characters, but it's also a game about loss, where characters die and are eulogized, and then are gone because they're dead. Like, this is a game that's as much Zelda in its DNA as it is a Brothers Grimm fairy tale. But despite their small two-man team, Death's Door developer Acid Nerve have been tackling big topics since their humble beginnings.
The origin of Acid Nerve is kind of just cosmic luck, really. Like, we made a game jam in 3 days, and then it kind of went semi-viral online. And I remember, like, Devolver Digital tweeted at me to say, like, hey, do you want to talk about your game? Everything escalated from that moment, which is kind of weird to think that, like, our lives changed because of a tweet online. Nigel from Devolver Digital, like, reached out to us there, and we had a chat with him. I remember him saying, like, oh yeah, just, you know, send us a pitch over. And we're like, okay, what's a pitch? We need to work out what a pitch is now. And then, like, we were just really, like, didn't know what we were doing, like, just kids basically just messing about. And we got all that together, and they, like, yeah, cool. We were really nervous about it, and like, yeah, sounds good, let's do it. So just, like, it went from there. And then, yeah, like you said, we were at E3, like, not that long after it, which is kind of insane, going from making a game in your bedroom over a weekend. Suddenly we were in Los Angeles, like, showing it off to journalists and stuff. So that was the start of our, like, you know, professional gaming career. Me and David had worked on a few things together before then. We made a little Flash game called Leave Me Alone, maybe like a year or two before Titan Souls was ever made. And then we kind of expanded on that into, like, a bigger Flash game for a site where we did get paid, but it was, like, not a lot of money or anything, but we were just kind of happy to be doing some game stuff.
I remember just when we were pitching for Titan Souls, we were just so clueless. Like, Devolver said, oh, are you going to fund this yourself, or do you want to ask for us for some money to fund it? And we were like, I guess we should ask for some money. How much should we ask for? And then they told us how much to ask for, and then we basically sent them that amount, and they're like, okay. And so, like, I think we've definitely come a long way since then and learned a lot in our process, to the point that making Death's Door, we almost felt like a legitimate professional company at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long journey for sure.
After we'd finished Titan Souls, we kind of took some time to just mess around with a few different ideas and playing around with Unity for the first time as well. And then we started trying to do some kind of 3D work. We did try to do something straight away, but then kind of didn't really have anything that we were really feeling at the time. Like, looking back, we can see the prototypes were actually called, like, Death's Door, and they were kind of revolving around the idea of doors and stuff. But the crow part of it wasn't there at the time. But we kind of went our separate ways and did our own thing for a while. I went traveling around Asia, like, made a prototype when I was just on the road for, like, just some combat stuff. And I sent that to David, and he liked that, and we thought we'd try kind of expanding on that at this point. And that's how things started to get rolling. And then at some point during that, I added a little crow character to it. So, because it was initially just like a big capsule running around with an invisible sword. And then as soon as we added the crow, we're like, oh yeah, this is a good idea. We can do something with it.
There were quite a few early versions of Death's Door. We've experimented with quite a lot of different 3D styles and approaches to the art of it and the kind of general character. So there was one prototype that was completely third person, and then a couple of different top-down prototypes. But the thing that was there from the very start was that we really wanted it to be an evolution of Titan Souls, like kind of a follow-up to Titan Souls. Because after Titan Souls, we did a bit of a smaller mobile game called Telepaint. That was kind of like our way of doing something with a bit less pressure. But then after having enough of a break, we were like, okay, I think we can, like, Titan Souls was still our bigger debut game, and we felt ready to follow that up. So it always had some of that DNA at its core, but it also always had I'm not really sure where we had the inspiration to make a game with these themes, but I think from our very first prototype, it always had this theme of death and theme of doors as part of the mechanics. So that's kind of been a thread through all of the prototypes as well.